Hi, I'm Katherine McKittrick from the Department of Gender Studies and Black Studies. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the minor in Black Studies at Queen's.
I am Daniel McNeil. I'm the Queen's National Scholar Chair in Black Studies.
I'm going to talk a little bit about what Black Studies is at Queen's, and then we'll take you through some of our inspirations in Black Studies, as well as what the next year will look like. So Black Studies was formalized and institutionalized during and soon after the civil rights and anti-colonial movements in North America, Africa, the UK, and the Caribbean in the 1960s and 1970s. We could argue that it's much longer, that it dates before that time. From about the late 1960s to the 1980s, many universities in the United States successfully fought for programs and departments in Black Studies, Africana Studies, and African Diaspora Studies. And in Canada and the UK, we're seeing new programs that focus on Black diasporic cultures and Black Canada. And at Queen's, we began envisioning and administering the minor in Black Studies about 8 or so years ago, with the program being launched officially this spring. Black Studies is an interdisciplinary field that encompasses politics, education, literature, music, geography, history, sociology, media studies, criminology, gender studies, surveillance studies, anti-colonial studies, and more. The field also drifts into the hard sciences, engineering, and math. While many Black scholars are trained in a specific discipline, their work often transcends disciplinary rules. So when you take Black Studies courses, you'll not only be introduced to content by and about Black people, but also how we approach the study of liberation from many different angles and many different points of view. This means that Black Studies does not reside solely within the university. It's also a field that is inflected with protest, resistance, and activism. The field and scholars are committed to non-academic forms of social change, and often pair their research with practical on-the-ground struggles and practices of cultural production. For me, the Black Studies program at Queen's is an attempt to theorize Black Studies as an interdisciplinary and multi-scalar expression of Black liberation. This is a vision that's rooted in imaginative, practical, and scholarly commitments to social change that benefit our collective Black and non-Black worlds. So when you take a Black Studies course, you'll not only be introduced to content by and about Black people, but also how we approach the study of liberation from many different angles and different points of view. Daniel, can you talk a little bit about why you turned to Black Studies?
What inspired me about Black Studies, what pushed me to turn to Black Studies, was this desire to bring reality into focus, to delve beyond the media headlines about systemic racism, to recognize the significance of corporate statements about Black lives, while also recognizing the limits of such rhetorical gestures. I wish to cultivate spaces for critical dialogue about how things are, but also to think about how they might be, how we can work together to change things, and also how we respond to change and insecurity with a mixture of confidence, control, curiosity, and humility. And really to hold our institutions accountable and to scrutinize how they do or do not live up to their rhetorical commitments to equity. And always to think about how the political work, the activist work, the intellectual work, and the artistic work that we do is never just a dour exercise. It's never banal. It isn't just superficial. It's something that opens up new worlds, and it's one that can bring deeper, lasting pleasures.
I love that. I think a lot about how I came to Black Studies and why I came to Black Studies. And with the recent passing of Bell Hooks, I mean, we can all think about how she talks about how theorization gave her the grammar to think through harm and pain and difficult situations. And with that in mind, today I was thinking about how I came to Black Studies because of my love of Black creative works, especially when I was much younger, the work of Toni Morrison, Nurbezi Phillip, Gail Jones, Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, Stevie Wonder, Funkadelic, Prince. And I remember reading and listening to those creatives and thinking, how do they do that? How do they make this difficult world and this terrible world so beautiful? So I've spent a lot of time thinking about how Black theorists and creatives make liberation and how they actually construct worlds, like new worlds that are full of possibility through music, through novels, through poetry. And from this, I came to adore the work of Sylvia Wynter, Paul Gilroy, Frantz Fanon, Edward Glissant, among others, because for me, they were building these same kinds of beautiful worlds, but they were doing that through theory making. Can you talk about some of your favorite Black Studies thinkers, Daniel, or your inspirations in the field?
The thinkers who have inspired me have been people like Richard Eiton and people who create and think through the Black fantastic, right? So spaces, networks in which the political and moral intelligence of Black communities is taken seriously. And the nation is understood as only one frame of meaning, a frame which is always competing for political legitimacy with transnational and local sites. And what I took from this type of work is not that we should translate Black cultures for academics to make them a little bit less exotic or a little bit easier for mainstream consumption, but how can we open up spaces in the academy for the knowledge of communities? How can we resist the idea that we're here to help people outside the academy speak or tell them what to say? And how can we push and struggle and demand that we need to learn from their political and moral intelligence?
And that encapsulates so much that we're thinking about as we move forward this year. And we're looking forward to all sorts of things that are unraveling in 2022, 23. We have new hires, we have new partnerships. Daniel, do you want to talk about some of our new hires in Black Studies and the areas that they're studying as they join us?
Sure, I'll talk about a couple. I'll talk about Dr. Jennifer Leaf, who's been appointed Queen's National Scholar and joined the School of Religion and Black Studies as a professor in Black religions, and is going to contribute greatly to our ongoing commitment to thinking about how questions of belonging are shaped by and through Black feminism and Black queer theory. And Dr. Leaf will also be leading and organizing the speaker series in Black Studies. We're also thrilled to be welcoming Dr. Delitzo Room, and this is a scholar who is appointed in philosophy as a professor of Black political thought and specializes in 19th century abolition narratives. And this is critical for a Black Studies program where we're cultivating spaces for reflection around abolition in contemporary as well as in historical contexts, but also working towards collaborative action to build those worlds in which racial hierarchies are dismantled.
Running alongside that is the hire of Vanessa Thompson, who is hired into 100% Black Studies and who is an abolitionist and who works in the fields of, I would say, global Black studies and global abolition movements. As well, Julian Otek-Bitek, who's a beautiful poet, is joining us from Vancouver and is working in creative writing, English, Black studies, and gender studies. And she's offering some really great courses in creative writing this year. As well, Keisha Favre, who is joining us in as a Queen's National Scholar in Geography and Planning and works in the area of critical Black ecologies. And Joseph Karanga, who is in kinesiology and health studies and works on questions of health in sub-Saharan Africa. So, and we also have some pre-docs joining us in January, and they'll be with us for a year, who will also be teaching special topics courses in Black studies. We have a postdoc in Black feminist thought joining us. We're also making connections with the Queen's Black Academic Society, with the Agnes, with Yellow House, with the library, athletics. And so there's a lot going on. We're very, very excited. My last word is that I'm really looking forward to building new worlds and sharing ideas. And Daniel, do you have any last thoughts?
Thinking about creative artistry as it pertains to making modernity and coloniality audible, legible, and visible will be really important to the program. Yeah. So Julianne's work, where we're able to think about the creative manipulation of language, our photographic exhibits, where we're going to be working with artists from South Africa who map and convey the lived multicultures of the Somali diaspora in South Africa, will be critical to the project. And also developing podcasts that allow us to think about our love of Black music, sonic ecologies, and different ways to approach diaspora and decolonization.
So that's our summary of the minor in Black Studies. If you have any questions about the minor, you can reach out to Taylor Sinak. The email is on the screen, or to Daniel McNeil or Katherine McKittrick. Our emails will also be on the screen. We're happy to talk to you about any aspects of the program, and we're really excited to be launching it this year. Thank you.